Hello, YouTube. This is Bub's Comics coming at you, and I have with me, as always, DS Comics and Metarog. Uh, Roger, before I had heard you say your own name for the first time, everyone had always called you Metarog with a hard G at the end. But then, as I had realized that your name was Roger, I started calling you Metarog. So you want to clear this up for us once and for all?
Either one works. Metarog was just kind of a nickname that I picked up in high school, but they used to call me Metarog. But my brother calls me Metarog.
Well, that'll work. Well, welcome all. Welcome all the Rogers we have today, and we'll get this started off with the No Faces chat. This week we were the Polybag Procurers. If you look up Procurer in the dictionary, as if those still existed, you would find a definition that is, I don't think, very applicable very often, but it's like somebody who, I always thought it was just someone who picked something up, or got something kind of for someone else. But I guess the most commonly used version of that is actually for picking up prostitutes for other people. so that's not exactly what we're doing. Although I think DS had said if you do see anything you like, just let them know.
Yeah, I'm down. I can always use an extra procurer.
So we'll get things started off. We're going to show, why isn't this? All right, let's see what we got here. I think we got a few people already in the chat. Let's see, Roger, people in the chat, if you've got it open.
Yeah, I got it open. Looks like Bueller's in here. Iron Bassist is in here.
Nice.
And of course DS is in there too.
Yeah, I'm sketchy. I'm in the live chat, and then I'm also like sketchily hanging out in the chat. My alter ego is hanging out in the chat, so there'll be two separate of me's in this.
Well, welcome,
wow.
Iron Bassist, man. I don't think I've seen Iron Bassist in our chats before, so welcome.
Cool. Well, we got 5 people watching.
Yeah, I know there was another live chat that just started a few minutes ago by a YouTuber that has like thousands of subscribers, so that might be cutting into our 10 to 20 subscribers we've been getting.
we got Bueller in here, so that's it. We're made, man.
Oh, yeah, but we're good. I think a lot of people actually have been commenting, or I've heard on their videos or in comments that they've been watching replays of our chat or listening to it as they run. So even if a lot of people aren't in the chat, I think it's been interesting enough so far that some people are checking it out on replays and listening to the whole show while they're working out or running or doing whatever.
Yeah, Silver Age Dave, he that's what he told me, that he couldn't reply, he couldn't chat, but he said he really liked our show. So I was like, wow, I was really honored.
Yeah, I heard him say that. And Reggie Simmons, I think, listened to it while he was working out or running or something too. So.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that, DS, don't we?
What's that?
About the
the Secret Wars 1 issue from last week.
Yeah. We got.
Yeah. What's up with that?
You want to start off, DS?
Yeah. All right. So we talked about it last week. The possible color variant in Secret Wars #1 centerfold, where Galactus is blue and white. And Metarog, you had said last week that the second printing, which was polybagged, had a corrected color version of him in the centerfold. Right. So that was the clearest answer I've gotten. But and I'd spoken with Reggie Simmons about it previous to last week's chat. He did a video about it, and he actually showed a couple of those books in one of his videos. And then I think He's Got Freaking Issues just did a reply on that issue to Reggie Simmons' video on it, and talked about it. So I'm still not 100% clear on it, but it looks like He's Got Freaking Issues had 2 first prints with both color variants in there. So an error and a corrected, both purportedly in first prints. So I'm still not sure what's the deal with it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It looked to me like he had a first print. And again, if we go down the minutia here, what we're talking about is Marvel Superhero Secret Wars #1 had an initial print run, and then it was reprinted in a polybag form. Issues 1, and it was bundled 1, 2, 3, 4 through 6, etc. And what I have a theory though that there's also a polybag first print.
Ah, okay.
So I have a theory that maybe that the whole polybag series was a later run, and those are the corrected versions. But again, that's only a theory. Again, I had never even seen one before I saw those freaking issues show those.
Yeah, and I've had like, I don't know, probably 20 to 25 different issues of that over the years, and it wasn't until now that I don't own any, I just sold off the remaining Raws that I had with that in it, that now I'm hearing about this issue, and I could have checked the 20 or so copies of that I had in the past that I don't have anymore. So it's kind of ironic that now I'm learning about that. I've never heard about it before.
Yeah, let me tell you, DS, I must have checked over 100 issues, and I had never seen one.
Yeah, I've got 3 on the way. One I know for sure has the blue coloring for Galactus, and the other 2 I don't know because I order them online. So when they come in, I'll check them out. But it was my understanding that all the first prints were blue, and then they corrected it. So they might have corrected it, as Roger's saying, somewhere in between the polybag 5-pack or I guess was it just the first 5 issues they put into a polybag and send it out, or was it the entire?
It was they had first 3, then they reprinted the next 3, and et cetera, et cetera.
Ah, I see.
And that you'll see them because but most of those have a black Spidey head instead of the white Spidey head, and the black Spidey head is the second print. We have, by the way, Doomsday Comics now in the chat. How you doing, Doomsday?
Doomsday!
And Bueller says that we need to ask Jim Shooter to find out the answer.
Well, I look forward to Bueller asking Jim Shooter that the next time he does an interview with Jim Shooter. Yeah. He's on good terms and knows him personally now, so Bueller, looking forward to that next interview with him.
Yeah, Bueller, put that on the list, man. That you're our liaison there.
Yeah, and by only 2 degrees of separation, we basically are best friends with Jim Shooter. So we're down for that. So we have here also the I wanted to show this polybagged. Speaking of polybags, Superman number 500, and that's going to be our prize tonight. Kind of like a Whose Line Is It Anywhere? I'm going to be giving away some arbitrary points between the chatters and see what we can give away tonight. We're going to give away this little polybag Superman 500 to the winner of tonight's chat. So no, we're not going to get real competitive because I'm afraid of what Roger looks like in real competitive mode. So go ahead and have a friendly competition, and whoever wins it, wins it. And I may never even ship it out. So we'll see about that.
What is that supposed to mean, Bub?
I'm scared. It looks like your easel has come under some stress every now. I see like several pieces of tape and it's buffered up on something. Just seems like every now and then, if you get like a tape pull, you just go to town on that thing.
Listen, I don't take my frustrations out on inanimate objects, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't think that's making him feel any better about competing with you tonight.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think any kids are showing up on his lawn.
Let's base it on facts. Let's get to it, and then you can make your opinion about what my, anger level can get to.
All right. So I've got a question before we begin here. So Bub, you're giving a prize to one of us in this, the 3 members of this chat, as to who wins that, or are you giving it to somebody who's in the live chat? Like
I'm giving it to start out. I'm giving it to one of you for this episode. However, I'd like the people in the chat line to help me pick who the winner is.
Oh, okay.
If anyone in the chat line wants to throw out points to anybody for anything, and then I'll review it, and then we'll declare a winner.
Well, I think if this is going to be a knowledge-based comic discussion, competition, you can just go ahead and give it to Metarog now. I'm good with that.
Oh, hold on a second. You're killing me with flattery here, but I've seen your videos, sir. You are in the top 5%.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm definitely not in the top 5% of the number of books I have anymore, though. That's for sure.
No, we're not talking about possessions. We're talking about pure knowledge here, right? And I put you. I mean, your knowledge of. I've seen some of your videos about the one you had today about. You had the candlestick. I was like, what is? I feel like I'm back in finance class.
Well, that's from experience back when I lost all my money during the internet bubble when it burst on me in the stock market. So I got something out of that at least.
Wow, that was a hard lesson, right? The .com stuff. Ooh. All right, Bob, go ahead.
I'm good. I was enjoying it. I was waiting to give out points, but honestly, neither one of you impressed me very much.
Thank you for trying.
Right. Yep, no points for trying.
Yeah, it says here, Metarog. Bueller thinks I'm out of control. So there you go. I don't know if that's
well. You know what? I think that's a point for Metarog. I'm gonna give 10 points for Metarog for getting at it. For Metarog, that's gonna kill me for getting out of control, and no points for DS because I'm just mean, I guess sometimes.
That's fine. So we got a long way to go. So.
So DS, you've got to tell us a more expanded version of the story that you gave today in your video. And if anyone hasn't seen that video, still, no matter what he says now, go watch that video because I've in my experience with DS Comics, he is excitable. So I don't know how many takes it took him to make that video and not get really angry or upset, because that had to have been a horrific experience. And I think it was when all this happened. So it at least took you 2 days to calm down enough to film it. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about it?
All right, Bob. Yeah, it was Friday, and I was talking to you as it was going down that day. So I appreciate you being there for me and supporting me and sharing in my major angst that I was having that morning. But yeah, I did a video today, and the book that I'm showing here is what I picked up, ASM 129, and it was sent FedEx, and it was to arrive Friday, and I was getting ready to go to work around 10 o'clock, and I checked the tracking, and it said it had been delivered and signed for. So, immediately my heart rate already starts going up, but, I'm still under control because it's probably on the porch or whatever. Or the guy's out there right now. So I went and checked. It's nowhere around to be found. So, I called FedEx, and ultimately what they told me was they actually got in touch personally with the driver that day and told me that the driver had met the female resident outside of the house, and she signed for it and took it with her in her car on her way to work. So I immediately called the wife at work. She went to work earlier than me, and I asked her if she had signed for it, and she said no. And I didn't expect that she did, but I was really hoping she knew I was expecting that, so she would have told me or brought it right in. She wouldn't have taken it with her to work. So I'm like completely freaking out. I think, Bub, when I was talking to you, I was like cursing. I was livid. I was freaking out. And I'm at work, and I'm not able to focus. I really don't even remember the first half of that day at work. And I'm riding back and forth to the house. I started going around the neighborhood, knocking on doors to see if anybody knew who signed for this package. And then finally, I got a text from one neighbor that the other neighbor was now home, and she had signed for it because the FedEx driver basically threw it at her and said, "Here, sign this. It's for you." And he jumped back in the truck and took off. Didn't even give her a chance to see what it was. And when she was riding to work, she saw what it was. So she brought it back home after work. But man, I was a mess. It's impossible to capture the way I felt when I recorded that video today. But everybody out there who watches that video, I think, can relate when you order a big book and it's lost in transit somewhere. This is even worse than that because it wasn't like it hadn't been shipped yet, or there's no tracking number. It was literally signed for and delivered, and I had no idea where it was or if I would ever see it again. So, and I actually went on eBay and checked to see if there was a new listing of this exact book on there that somebody had gotten the package and opened it and saw what it was and threw it on eBay. And I went to see if my book was one of the new listings on eBay. But it worked out in the end, and it took me. I felt like taking the rest of the day off of work, honestly. But you know, I'm still just talking about it now. I can feel my heart rate going up. That was you know, that's how it was probably how you feel, Bub, when you're looking through those long boxes like you were telling us and going to the LCS on Wednesday. And that's how I was on Friday, man. I was a mess. I don't buy that many books, and so that shouldn't happen, you know. But
I'm sure calling the hospital was the next option there.
Yeah, I was literally losing it.
Well, we got,
so what did your
Tat in the chat and Amazing Murfinator.
Nice. What did Mrs. DS say when she thought you had lost a $1,500 book in the mail?
Well, I called her and asked if I'm like, hey, did you sign for a FedEx package this morning on your way to work? And she was like, no, I didn't sign for it. I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, I'm sure. I know you're getting that book. I didn't sign for it. I don't have it. She's like, you don't know where it is, or what? She said something like that. And I'm like, no, I have no effing idea where it is. I don't know, $1,500 book or whatever. And I'm like freaking out. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'll let you go back to work. And she's like, I'm sorry, it'll turn up. It'll turn up. You know, and me and Bub, we were talking about this, you know, a woman's touch and the way she stays calm about it. I was not thinking, oh, no worries, it'll turn up. But that's what she said. And it turned up, you know, another hour or so later. So.
Well, bless her heart.
We got to give DS some pity points there. Come on.
Yeah, that's
I think so.
15.
15.
15. All right.
Man.
All right, Comics with Bueller is giving me 129 points to go along with my ASM 129.
Nice.
So that's awesome. Thanks, Bueller.
Well, hi.
Nice.
I want to I'll just say hi to the people in the chat, if that's okay. I'll say hi to Tat and to Amazing Murfinator. Two great channels. I really enjoy Murfinator. You know, you'll like him, Diaz. He's got all those ASMs. You know, I think he's got a complete collection from 100 up or something. And Tad, of course, is, you know, one of the most amazing, generous guys here in the community.
That's cool.
Oh, we got Pope Grady here too. Oh, cool.
Pope Grady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Roger. Say something in the chat so I can add you as a moderator.
Okay.
When you get a chance.
Right now.
Cool. Tat, I saw something today that BCW have those comic carriers where you can hold like, I don't know, 10 to 15 comics or so in a carrier. And it's like just kind of a box, but it's blank, so you can sketch on it. So I thought maybe that'd be something, you know, if y'all don't know, Tats does those the BCW comic box covers.
Yeah.
And he sketches those, and they're freaking awesome. I mean, I just love them. And I just thought maybe you could add one of those to your repertoire of things that you sketch on, because that would be really cool to carry around a personalized Tats Comics comic carrier. Oh, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. That those of course I have one that Carl let me show it here. But Tat has done just some amazing. Here's one that Carl on base got for me when I won his contest, and that is
wow,
that is an awesome Deathlock, isn't it?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Amazing.
I mean, honestly, the prizes was great, but this is like this. I'm keeping this thing like, you know, like a holy grail. I'm keeping this in plastic. I'm keeping it away from anybody around here. Anyway,
yeah, that's like professional quality there. That's really awesome.
Amazing. I just stare at it for like minutes every day.
I know he doesn't sell them because he says, like, if you notice on the one Roger just showed, he'll say after someone. Yep. So if he's kind of replicating someone's art, then it's just, which I think is really cool that he puts after on that as well. Yep. So he doesn't want to sell them to, you know, sell someone else's work. So, but I think they're really awesome.
Yeah, that's Walter McDaniel. He does sign it there, CR, but he puts right after Walter McDaniel, which did the 1990s art on the Deathlock. So
that is awesome. Well, Anybody have any big pickups this week other than the 120? Oh, I got to show this. I don't know if I can. I think there's a way that I can do something here. Let me see if I can do it. I don't know how. Hold on, everybody. So I was going to show this real quick. Y'all can see this. Is that showing up at all or not? Anyway, no. I was going to show this real quick. It was a screen share. I guess I don't know how to do it. So there's that answer. So, oh, there it goes. Oh, it's going crazy. Look out. All right. So there's my screen share real quick. And I had sent this to DS Comics when he, can y'all see that? Can you see that, DS?
Well, I can see it on my phone, which is in the live chat, but I can't see it on the actual live chat app. But in any event, I do. Oh, there it is. Yeah, yes, that is exactly how I felt when he lost Wilson. That's how I felt, and he's got the little ASM 129 right there.
I just thought you'd appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was funny because we were talking on that day when you lost it, bless your heart, and we were. I felt horrible, and of course it was Friday the 13th. So I'm not a superstitious guy by any stretch, but I'm like, man, my thought was, what a bizarre thing to happen. And I was like, well, it's Friday the 13th. I don't know how you avoid that.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize that was Friday the 13th until you brought it up. And then when I went back to work later that day, there was a bunch of this weird stuff going on at work, and other people were mentioning it's Friday 13th. So it was just, for me, it was a weird day all around, starting with that. So, yeah, Friday the 13th was definitely an unlucky day. Well, I wouldn't say unlucky. It turned out lucky for me, but it just had a lot of weird stuff going on.
It was just a stressful day.
It was very stressful.
Very stressful day. Yeah, you and Bob are just way too stressed when it comes to collecting comics. I tell you, that's you got to find some kind of way to de-stress. I mean, obviously, Bob just went to a convention, which I hope we hear about. But man, but again, a top dollar book. But those are insured, though, right? Even if something happened, you would have gotten your money back, right?
Well, all right. So I'll tell you, I talked to FedEx, and they said there was nothing they can do since it was signed for and delivered to the right address and signed for by somebody, that they couldn't do anything about it. And I can open up a claim in another department with them, and they would help me look into it. But that it was not their responsibility anymore. And then I never contacted the seller. I never had to. But I mean, what is he going to say? He's not going to give me my money back. He sent the item, and it was properly addressed, and it got signed for and delivered by FedEx. So, I mean, the insurance, I don't know how I would have ever recovered anything.
Well, but it wasn't your signature, so.
Well, that's true. So, yeah. I don't know. I would have had to fight that out with FedEx, and it would have taken a length of time in which I probably could have saved up and bought another one of these, I guess. So I don't know. I'm not made of money. I have a regular job like everybody else. I make a regular average paycheck. I squirrel away a little bit of money. I don't spend money on anything except comics, and I only buy them few and far between now. So it takes a while for me to save up to get something like this. And, I've been lucky enough to pick up a few big books this year. But yeah, this is like a major purchase for me, and I can't just go buy another one if that one was lost. So, that's a major amount of money I put out for this, and I've had a several month-long plan and process of getting it. So I was really freaking out that day.
And you don't have comics insurance?
Well, all right. So I don't currently have collectibles insurance, but I'm in the process of getting it. Let's put it that way.
Okay, good. I think it's a pretty good, at least for you guys that are so stressed about these things, it's a good idea.
Yeah, once the stuff gets to my house, it's all right. But when it's in transit, as long as it gets to me, I'm good to go. I'm not freaking out about anything.
Well, for me, since I live in Florida and Hurricane Alley here, I'm always afraid that one day I'm gonna come and all my comics will be flying all over the neighborhood. So that's why I got it.
Not every company insures in transit until you have it. So, like, there's a couple of different companies. out there. There's really two main players in the space. There's American Collectible Insurance, I think, and then there's Collectors Insurance. And they're kind of two different companies, and they're the main players in this space for comic collections.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those companies also do more than just comic collecting. They'll insure guns and knives and other type collectibles, toys, things of that nature. But one of them does provide shipping coverage once you've purchased the book. If it's on its way to you, they'll insure it as part of your collection. And then if it gets lost, or in this case, it could be considered stolen, then it's covered. But the other company does not do that until it's already in your possession. So always make sure that when you get these policies, if you don't, my recommendation is if you have an agent near you, to deal with an agent, because then if worst case scenario, you can always default back to what the agent told you as opposed to what's written in fine print, because a lot of people like to buy insurance online. And when you buy insurance for things like this online, there's no agent there. So everything, you're stuck with what's in the fine print. And if you don't go through and do your homework, which I know the three of us probably do, it sounds like we're all of the same thing. So, but for most collectors, they're not in the business of reading contracts. And so those things can get lost in translation very easily. But when you have an actual agent, you can contact your agent, and what most people don't realize is what your agent tells you, even in a private conversation, is admissible in court and can be used to get, even if it's not in the policy, if your agent tells you it's in the policy, now it is. And you can actually turn in a claim based on what the agent said, not just what's in the fine print. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Talk to your agent. That's it.
Yes, yeah, sir. That's good to know. Just while you were talking, I pulled out this is the Collector's Handbook. I think I got this either when I made my first purchase or signed up with heritage.com, Heritage Auctions. I think that's where I got this one. But this is a really good resource. And this has how to care for your collectibles, and it's got an entire section on the bottom here, insurance companies offering specialized coverage for collectors. It's got everything in here: how to sell your collection, how to evaluate it, having it appraised, tax options for estate planning. This is a really awesome resource, and I think I got that from Heritage. But if you see one, you know, at a thrift store or on eBay for a couple bucks or something, it's definitely worth picking up. This thing is chock full of tips and knowledge. Really, really good stuff.
Okay, that merits awesome. At least 10 points there, bud.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to catch up to DS here. I'm going to have to shut his mic off.
I think it's a slam dunk here.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I come prepared. I got all kinds of stuff laid out around me, ready to throw up at a moment's notice to score points here. So,
well, DS, I'll tell you this. I don't know exactly where your filming location is. It could be from a secret location, you know, on Mars or something. But it may be akin to a basement. So I just want to tell you to make sure that you keep your comics at least 6 inches off the ground. Because both companies will deny, both of the major comic collecting companies will deny claims if your comics are in boxes on the ground. They have to be, I think it's called stivered or something like that. It has to be 6 inches off, suspended off the ground in order for them to consider it a collection. Because if you put it on the ground, they'll consider that negligent and they'll deny the claim.
All right. Well, I think I'm in good shape. Every single one of my books is at least 1.5 feet off the ground.
Nice.
So I have a tiered system where the books are on the top and it goes from high value down to low value, and the stuff that I don't care about is nearest to the floor. So.
Yeah, mine are at least 2 feet up because I have them stacked on top of these filing cabinets, which I've staggered so that they're, you know, they distribute evenly and they don't crush them. So I'm good.
Nice. Well, for all you out there who aren't good, keep them up at least 6 inches off the ground, or you have no coverage. Even with the collector's insurance, you got to watch them.
Yeah, excellent tip. I think he deserves definitely some good points for that discussion there, Bub.
Yeah, we'll give him some props for that one. Yeah.
Well, that saves me on shipping if I win. So just to encourage me to play along, I always make sure that I have only one copy. I only have one copy of this book. So one of you I might sign it for you if you want me to. Just let me know. Speaking of signing, I had a couple of major pickups this weekend that I'll show off right quick. One is I went to the Frankfurt Comic Con. I did a little video on it. I'll have another video coming up with my little interview with Fabian Nicieza, the co-creator of Deadpool. And he was really interesting. He was wild, and his personality really was Deadpool. Everything he said sounded just like Deadpool. It was wild. He was condescending. He was kind of, he was a jokester and kind of rude, but overall it was an interesting experience. So I already had this book and I got it signed. And then also I picked up Incredible Hulk 179 so that I could complete my collection of 179 to 182, which of course meant I had to pick up 182. And this book alone, I tried to steal this book. I've been trying to steal this book all year. It's been on my want list, which is now finished. But I've been trying to steal it for $35. And I had a chance to do it a couple of times, but the condition of those books were so poor, I just couldn't pull the trigger because I am going to frame it and put it up with in the row of these. So I just didn't want to have such a poor condition book. So I ended up giving about $60 for this one after shipping, but that's not bad. It's selling for about $75 in this condition or less. And then as they go up, they get about $100. But this one's in pretty good condition. I'd say it's probably about 7.5.
Yeah, those are awesome books. Comic Boys is asking if Fabian charges Liefeld prices for the signatures.
He does not. He charges $10 for anything. It's funny because he had a really, really long list, and it was kind of ridiculous. So he had a really long list and where he named all the things that he charged for a signature for. And if what you brought to him was not on that list, then he would not charge for the signature. Of course, it had anything Deadpool. It had anything X-Force, X-Factor, X-Men, all of that. Any of those titles or anything with Deadpool on it. Also Deadpool merchandise, X-Force merchandise, anything like that. It was all $10 per signature. But then if you brought him something that was not related to this, he would sign it for free. So what was funny about that was it reminded me, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Step Brothers. You guys seen that movie?
Oh, yeah.
So you know how like Will Ferrell's like, he's got the sword. He's like, here, look here. You can see a little, barely make out a smudge. He's like, what is that? He's like, Randy Jackson from American Idol. He's like, why do you have Randy Jackson from American Idol on a samurai sword? He's like, because if you run into Randy Jackson, I'm not going to get his autograph. So and that's kind of how I felt like. Well, I felt like going out and grabbing a bunch of crap that had nothing to do with Deadpool, like, party hats or who knows what else, paper plates from the bar, and bringing it to him and having him sign all that stuff just to make good on his word. But I didn't.
Nice. And of course, your 182 has a value stamp, right?
It does have a value stamp. It is the only stamp in the. No, actually, I think my 180 has a stamp too. 180 doesn't. 181 does not have a value stamp. But with the price of the 181 skyrocketing this week alone, it looks like they just boomed. I'm really kicking myself for not getting. I had an opportunity to buy two other Hulk 181s that were much less than this one because the condition weren't as good, but they were complete, but they were very low condition. And I wish I had bought them just for the resale value because I could have easily doubled my money on either of those. A lot of people, I know DS is a big, it seems like most of his charted books end up at around 8.5. And then the ones that he wants for his own collection, a lot of times end up at 9.8s, of course. But it looks like to me for this book, and I haven't done the extensive candle graphing that that DS has done. But it looks to me like right now, if I had the funds, I would not hunt high value or high. I would actually hunt down as many low grade copies as I could and try and scoop those up, because if they're going to double in value, you have more chances to sell. You can sell them as you need to, as opposed to one book. You would have multiple books that you could get rid of. For what I paid for this, I could have easily got 2 lower grade books, and that would have been something that I could have sold and then been able to get even a higher. So that's kind of where I'm at in my kick myself mode, is I wish I had picked up a couple of those low grades as they came around on the way, which right now, a 3.5 is going for over $1,000 right now. It's ridiculous.
I saw, when I saw DS's video today, I was like astonished. I really was, because when I saw his chart just on the 129, and then when he talked about the 181, it just seems to defy financial logic to me. There are so many copies of this comic. It's not rare at all, but yet
I think
up and up and up.
For me, if you're looking at it from a pure collector standpoint, like let's say you're looking at it from as coins or something like that, where there's only so many that are run, and then how rare is this item? And I think that the rarity of the item when it comes to mass produced things like this are better gauged when you juxtapose them against the amount or the demand, the amount of demand.
Right.
So as this book skyrockets in demand, there is a huge amount of books, but there's not one for every person on earth. And once the amount of people that want this book goes past the amount of books at any one time available, that's when the price starts to jump up. As demand increases, supply can remain stagnant. But then once those books are bought and put into personal collections, or some people are going to sit on them even for 5 or 10 years, then that scarcity creates. And now that we have this eBay culture where everyone's doing this auction, and you guys have both probably also had this feeling where you're sitting there watching the auction and going, no, 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 and you lose the auction, and you go back and you realize the next 3 books you try and bid on, you could have bid on the last book that you missed out on and got a better deal than the next 3 books that come your way.
Oh, yeah.
So that feeling is so harsh and happens so often. It happens to me like 3 times a week. So, I can see how that just kind of starts building and building. And that also, to me, unnaturally inflates the scarcity of it, because it's not exactly scarce, but people are in a rush to get something that still does have a finite amount in the world. And right. as the demand grows, then it's
I totally agree with everything you said, of course. But to me, when I saw DS's video, it just seems like you said unnaturally. It's almost like there's some kind of mystical quality about it, because there are other rare, not other rare books, but other very, very wanted books, very, very books that are high on other lists, like, for example, like ASM 129, Iron Man 55, although that's cooled off since the movie and all that, and it just seems like no matter what occurs, whether there's a movie, whether there's a Wolverine or not, this just keeps skyrocketing. I mean, just exponentially.
Yeah, I was watching a video recently by Reaper Tate 728 about Hulk 181, and he threw something interesting out, that the reason that book is really taking off is a lot of collectors are, high-end serious collectors that want to put money out for books are getting priced out of Amazing Fantasy 15. And what's the next best thing? If you're just looking to pick up huge superhero keys, a lot of them are getting priced out of AF-15. They're going and picking up Hulk 181s, and that's driving the prices of those as well, because that's not just a bronze key. It's not just a Wolverine book. That is a major comic book key. It's, Action Comics, Detective 27, stuff like that. That's on a whole other level. But when you get just under that level, you got the AF-15s, and then you've got like Hulk 181, Fantastic Four #1, a Showcase 4. I mean, stuff like that. Those prices are going up so high. People are are dropping down to the ones that are still in reach. And Hulk 181 is still there. But like I said in my video, I picked up that 8.5 with white pages, new CGC case, beautiful book. I paid under $3,000 for it in April.
Excuse me. My God.
So in April, I laid out what I considered to be a huge amount of cash for a comic book.
I gotta give 20 points to Roger for subtlety on that one, please.
Well, I'll tell you, that was about the limit of what I can put together for a comic book before I go crazy and I just have to go buy something because I can't stand not buying something for too long. But yeah, so that was in April. I just saw one this week sell for $5,000 on eBay, an 8.5 with white pages. It's insane. That book is going crazy. I have no idea where it's going to stop. You know, I honestly was thinking if, you know, in a couple of years, if that hits 15 or 20 grand, I might sell that and buy a low grade AF-15 if that price corrects a little bit. So, I mean, it gets hot. If it goes up to a certain point, I may actually sell that. And then there's a lot of other stuff I could get with it. So I don't know. It's just crazy.
Like this one here is the inside DS is, I tell you, the best I've ever seen. It is absolutely brand spanking new. But I don't know if yours has it, but mine has like these little, it's hard to tell, but it has like almost like a little white rub right on the inside of the spine.
Yeah, I mentioned that when I did my video of the showing off the Hulk 181 I got. Mine has sort of like, it's almost like a rub down the spine area, particularly where Wolverine's arm is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've scouted these books out and researched them and looked closely at them. And I have seen so many of those that have the exact same color rub pattern there, or whatever it is. And mine's got it too.
Yeah, I don't understand it because otherwise my book is absolutely minty, you know, but
and it's beautifully centered too. Yours is beautifully centered.
Yeah, but because of that, I can't put this above a VF. I just can't. I can't.
Well, I mean, if that's really the only thing wrong with it, I mean, it's probably an 8.5 or.
I can't see a thing wrong with it. I really cannot.
Well, I mean, if that's the only thing, it's probably an 8.5 or a 9. I mean, that's, you know, that defect alone, if that's really the only noticeable defect.
Okay, look down here where this rubble is. Can you see that little rubble down there? Right in the corner. You can see the white.
Yeah.
See that right there?
Yep.
That bothers me. That's why I can't put this above a VF.
See, mine has that too. Really, all along the spine, it has kind of a waxy white, and it's not topical. It's like inside maybe the paper or whatever the run that was producing it, whatever machine was producing it. But mine has that too. It has it all the way up the top on mine. You can kind of see it all the way towards the top corner. It has that same kind of milky, waxy kind of look. It's very small. It's very, a millimeter, maybe 2 millimeters off the edge, and that's it.
Yeah.
But it is there.
All right. Well, let me show you on mine if you can make this out. Let's click over to my video so I can see if it's showing up.
Silver H. Dave is in the chat, and he says my copy sucks. He'll give me $500 for it.
All right. So there's
So, okay, Dave. We'll talk after the chat.
I've got this rub going down the spine here, and you can see it's Wolverine's arm, and there's like a little bit of a white rub going down the spine there. I don't know how well you can see that.
Yeah, I see it. Mine's got the exact same thing.
Yeah, a lot of them have that. So many of them I looked at had that. And really, that's the only defect on this book. I mean, it's got a super clean back cover. The corners are nice and sharp, and it's got white pages. So, you know, that rub, 8.5. So that's about the only thing wrong with it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I thought it was only mine because it really looks like, you know, maybe it was somebody had stacked it with a white cover onto this red cover and had pinched it to the degree where it transferred over. But Bub is right. It's not that kind of transfer. It's like it's part of the printing of the cover.
Yeah, I tried to find one that didn't have that defect, and I saw so many that looked so identical that it's obviously a manufacturing defect. I tried to find one without that, and it's really difficult to find a Hulk 181 that doesn't have a rub going down the spine there.
We got A.G. Stiffer in here.
Oh, nice.
We got Gene Pauley's Peter. How you doing, guys?
Hey, it's really nice to see anybody that was here last week come back for this week. That makes us feel a little better. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't run them off totally.
Not totally. Maybe they're giving us the benefit of the doubt this time.
By the way, I do, Bub. I really like this comic here, this 182. And mine, believe it or not, is like really minty. Except somebody wrote mint up here.
Can
you believe that? But
is it in pencil?
Otherwise, that I love it, so I keep it. And plus, I paid a big $2 for it.
Oh wow! Oh, you're killing me. I had picked this one up. One of the reasons that I went with this book versus others that I had seen is that this book has a tendency to have a miscolor. In between the yellow and the blue, you'll see, and the orange or red or whatever that is, it tends to blur in a lot of the printings, and then you also see more purple, or the coloring will be very faded, or sometimes in a lot of the printings there'll be it's like they didn't have enough color at all, and it'll be very washed out, but not in the way that it's not sun faded. It's just kind of not enough ink when they printed it.
Yeah, that happens a lot of covers that are blue or purplish. For whatever reason, toward the end of the run, they start to fade, and it's almost like a color variation, but it's really not. It's just a gradual lessening of the richness of the color.
Well, I'm going to say something that I think a lot of people are aware of, but I don't hear enough people say it, is that the Marvel printing and binding and cutting and manufacturing process from the Bronze Age is the pits. That's my personal opinion. Everything is miscut. Everything is miscolored. Everything is, it's just Marvel, Bronze Age Marvel books are, I don't know, very unimpressively put together physically, in my opinion.
I'll tell you right now, Diaz, I know that you don't collect too many modern comics other than for potential flipping purposes or whatnot, but I can tell you that the comics now are even Marvel comics. They're printing the covers with the same ink and paper that they're printing the interior pages. So as you're holding the comic, you start getting like, black or purple, especially if it's a dark color, colored cover, all over your hands as you're turning the pages. Like, there was a comic I was reading, and I looked on the front. It was a dark cover. I think it was one of the Venoms, and print had turned the cover white, and it had a white. You could see my actual thumbprint like had ate through the cover. It was horrible.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't buy new comics, but yeah, they're all printed from front to back, and the interior on that glossy, almost like oily type of photo paper. It seems like I prefer the old newsprint paper, like this whole 181 is on. The new comics and that like high-end paper, and that's super. Even the pages are super glossy. It doesn't feel like a comic book to me. And yeah, I noticed when you touch those, it leaves fingerprints very easily. I don't know if it's the gloss on all the pages and the covers. I'm not sure what it is. I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
How do you like the cut on this one?
Oh wow! I gotta see that.
Look,
can you get that any closer? Is that real?
Yeah, that's real. Look at that cut. Look at that.
Oh wow, that's really bad miscut.
that somehow made it past it made it past the, I'm assuming they have some kind of quality control, right? And that somehow made it past. But yeah, by the way, Marvel are not good, but believe me, Marvels are Michelangelo's compared to Charlton's.
Yeah, Charlton's have been like that for forever because, as you both know, I'm a big pre-code horror collector as well.
Right.
And my favorite pre-code horror title is a Charlton title called The Thing. And I've got the full run of that now. And I have one of those are miscut so bad that when you hold one issue up to the next issue in that run, they look like they came from different decades. There's like an inch difference in the width. And I've got one that doesn't even fit in the CGC case. I need to get it reholdered. It's in an older one, and they had to like bend it to fit it in the case. So I'm gonna have that pressed and reholdered. I'll show that at some point. It's not super bad, but it's not ideal. And I've taken that case and held it up to new cases and see if it would fit in the new one. and it's tight. So I don't know. I'm going to try to get it reholdered and get it pressed, but I mean, it doesn't even fit in a holder, and some of the other ones, there's plenty of room. So Charlton's been miscut forever.
And the interior, I have one. I don't think I can pull it out today, but I'll have it for next week. The interior pages are offset. In other words, one is level, and the next one is like another ½ inch up. So you have folds up top and folds on the bottom because the pages are not all aligned. It's the most bizarre looking thing. How that made it out of the printer, I have no idea. And
actually, I've got my box with those here, so I'm going to pull it out and show you, and you can see what I'm talking about. Here's an issue of the thing.
Is that the one that they bent?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't fit. It's number 5, it's 1952. It's a Charlton book, and I'm going to try to bring this closer and see if you guys can see what I'm talking about. I don't know how well that's going to show up.
It's hard to tell because of that inner well in there.
Yeah, but I think that's what we're looking at, right? It's like a bow to it because it didn't fit otherwise, right?
It is bowed. It's hard to see on video. Let me see. Well, you can sort of see it a little bit, but
I can see a little bit of a little bit of a curl there in the cover.
Yeah, I mean it totally does not fit in there, and when you match it up to some of the other ones, here's one. All right, so look how bad this one is miscut.
Oh, nice. That's this like a trapezoid.
It's got a really cool store stamp on it, but it's the bottom has a huge white border where it's been miscut, and along the spine it's bound wrong, and then it almost cuts the words off up top.
Wow. Yeah, Charlton's, I don't know what they were doing for the 50 years or so they were publishing comics, because it wasn't quality control, that's for sure. No,
but the interior, the stories, the art, the covers on these are phenomenal, so I absolutely love them.
I love them. I love Charlton's. I think they're super underrated at all those levels. But the quality of them is garbage, honestly. Total garbage.
Wow. I mean, I guess you just kind of have to suck it up at that point, don't you? Because, I mean, would you rather have a reprint that was perfect or the original that's all, chopped up and beat up?
Well, and I'll tell you, with those issues from the thing, I mean, they're so hard to find anyway that if you find one that's just reasonably connected to the staples and decent, I mean, that's the one for you. You might not see another one for a couple of years. That one I showed that was bowed because it barely fits in the holder, that was one of the last ones I needed to complete this title, and I couldn't find one forever. The only one that I found had like an offset printing that almost had like that 3D look to it, that old 3D look where the
yeah,
and it was really bad that it was really ruined the cover, so I didn't buy that one, and I didn't see another one for a while until that one, and I had to pay up for that one because it's a 7.5. It's one of the highest graded copies of that issue, but
it's amazing you got a 7.5 out of that. It really is. That's an amazing accomplishment.
Well, thanks. I've got a couple pretty high grades of that title. I'm super pumped about it. I mean, I don't think there's too many collectors out there anywhere that have a full run of that. So I'm super proud to own it.
I only know of one other. So.
Well, and I've got 8 issues of this title at CGC right now. Cool. So we'll see when those come back, probably September, what they look like.
All right, looks like we got the boy who had 7 talks comic books on the chat, and Comic Boys. Hi, Johnny. The boy who had 7 talk comics got that really nice contest. Have you guys seen that?
Do an entry video for it, but I hadn't gone back to see what the contest was for.
Oh, he's got some awesome prizes, man. All the variants of Action 1000.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, man. That's a really cool. He's just a cool guy. I love the way he presents stuff. He's so enthusiastic and all that. So anyway, just a plug for him. Go do that contest.
Go do that.
Go do that. do I get,
that's awesome.
Do I get points for referring somebody over there? Because he has like
yes.
He has the system where if you refer somebody, you get points. If you do Instagram, I don't know Instagram from a Telegram. Okay, so I don't do that, right? But yeah, check him out. He's a really cool guy.
We shall do. I picked up this Secret Wars number 8. I showed it off in my video. I can't stop looking at it. It's another one here lately, I've got a few books that I can't stop staring at. This is probably the highest grade book that I've ever bought at a con. Of course, it's raw, so it's up to my interpretation, but I really think I only bought it. I knew it was in the 9s. I feel like it's in the 9s. I think it's a 9.4, 9.6-ish, and pressable maybe to a 9.8 because I can't find a single defect on it. Back cover is not shown, but
and that's a new standard. So,
oh yeah,
yeah. And Bub, you sent me pictures of that, and I looked at them up close. And in my estimation, I mean, if you get that pressed, you're looking at a 9.6, maybe a 9.4, maybe a 9.8. I mean, it looks pretty darn good to me. And I have bought and sold a lot of those. And if I saw that one, I would send it in to CGC as a 9.8 candidate, just from the close-ups of the photos you showed me. So yeah, really, really awesome book. And I think that is one of the most iconic covers from the Copper Age. And as we move further into the years, this is going to really go up in value. I think it's still undervalued. I mean, you can still pick up really super high grades of this for under $100. Really classic Mike Zeck cover. Yeah, great.
Macaroni.
Yeah, I'm going to take off Roger's previous 10 points for subtlety because that was not subtle at all. You're going backwards, Roger. You're not going to win this.
Listen, I'm not a value guy. You know, I just collect what I like and the oddities and stuff. So when you guys tell me this stuff, I'm falling off my chair here.
Falling off your chair because it's hard to believe, or what?
Yes, it's hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you can get 9.8s of this book, already graded 9.8s for around $200. Now they're starting to creep above that, but for this book, a pristine mint copy of this book for $200, trust me, my 9.8 collecting anything of this iconic nature for $200 and 9.8 is a great deal. I mean, this is a really undervalued book, and it's a classic.
All right, I won't tell you what I paid for mine because I got the whole set at one time, so I won't even say anything. But
well, I'm going to try and increase the value with that right there.
Oh, now that's the topper there.
That's cool. I like that.
Hey, so what about the first appearances? Like, okay, that is the first appearance in continuity, right? Of the black costume.
Well,
don't get started on this, Roger. You don't have enough battery on your phone to outlast DS's explanation of the first appearance of this symbiote.
Let me just ask this question, okay, DS?
All right.
The Marvel Team Up 141, Spectacular Spider-Man 90, Amazing Spider-Man 252. Those are the first that came out chronologically.
Correct.
So, right. Okay. So I think that this should be the first appearance because it is in continuity.
It is the first on the timeline of the characters inside the Marvel Universe. This is the first appearance of it. And they just told the backstory after they printed the black costume in several other books. But yeah, in continuity, this would be the first appearance, yeah. And it's got the full origin of it, and it's within a really one of the best story arcs in modern times in comics as well, the Secret Wars storyline.
Well, I'm with you 100% there. I love that storyline.
And it's a Mike Zeck cover, and it's red and black, and it's got all the characters in the background. I mean, just from a cover perspective, too, it's awesome all around. And the first appearance in continuity and the origin story. I mean, you can't beat it.
Yeah, that's what Murfinator is saying here. That's the origin of the alien symbiote. So what would a commensurate copy of ASM 252 go for in that 9.8?
Well, it's just crossed. I think one just sold for close to $800. So they're in the 700 range now for 9.8s.
Wowzers!
Wow.
The Marvel Team Up 141 and 9.8 is going for about 350, maybe 400 by now. But I mean, I just sold a couple of those a few months back for 300, and it wasn't. I listed it for 300, and it sold instantly. So I had no problem selling that at 300. It's going for like 350 or 400 now.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow.
The Spectacular Spider-Man 90, I actually don't own that right now. I've had several copies, but I want to get a 9.8, obviously. And those are going for like 250 and 9.8. And I think it's because it's the cover artist and the title that it's in are less popular than some of these other black costume titles. But in any event, all of them are starting to go up. This one is still the cheapest.
And he only appears on the last page.
In the Secret Wars one you're talking about?
No, in the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't have that one to refer to right now, so I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't appear in the cover in a black costume. He appears as the regular costume, and he only appears on the last page. I'll show you.
Oh yeah, it is. It is in the last page. You're right.
Yeah. So I don't think this should really be much of anything, you know. It's really a Black Cat story, and then you get that there, and that's it.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah, so I'm still on the lookout for a really nice copy of Spectacular Spider-Man 90, but I've got all the other ones, so that's the only one I still need.
Yeah, this is like a 8.0, I'd say, tops.
It's tough to judge the condition of those raw because of the art on the cover. It makes it very difficult to see creases, especially to see spine dings. Yeah, and it's just a very difficult book to grade raw. I don't know. I've had numerous copies of it. I've just decided I want a 9.8.
Oh, Murfinator says he loves the Team Up 141.
Yeah, I think that's all those books are undervalued and great investments. You know, 252 leads the charge on that, and that's, you know, starting to press $800 in a 9.8 grade. But it's going to drag the other ones along with it. And, you know, these books are, you know, 30 years old now, over 30 years. And as, you know, stuff in the Bronze Age is starting to really just go crazy. I mean, some of these copper keys are going to start really picking up in the next 5 to 10 years. And I wouldn't be surprised to see all of those be in the, you know, $800 to $1,000 range in the very near future, and probably 252 is going to be in the, you know, $1,500 range, not too far in the future. I mean, I picked up one for like $175 3 years ago. So from 3 years ago, I got one for under 200, and now it's selling for 800. So it's crazy.
Confession time here. I ripped somebody off then because I didn't know it was that valuable. I got a really perfect copy of 252 for $10 on a guy from Craigslist. Oh yeah, that's a steal. I honestly had no idea it was going to be worth anywhere near that much. And he moved out of town, so I can't even go back there and give him any money. So, sorry.
Did he move out of town, or was he just never seen from again?
No, when I went there, he was actually had the movie boxes there, and he wanted to sell all his comics, but you know, that was the only one that was actually any good, other than a couple like old Charltons there. So he was gone the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always on the lookout for those to flip at this point. And I'll even look on eBay to buy high grade 252s. And you used to be able to, you know, score a late night auction on those or something not too long ago for, you know, $40-$50 on a nice high grade and flip it for a couple hundred. But now even the raws that look like they're in at least 8.5 to 9.0 range are selling for, you know, near $200. I mean, just for raws, that book's really starting to pick up. That's a great book to own.
Wow. Okay, I guess I'll keep mine then.
Yeah, keep it.
Yeah.
This one, I thought about actually sending it to CGC, but the problem is that I'm going in September to Cincinnati Comic-Con, and they're going to have Mike Zeck and John Beatty, the author and the artist. So I was going to get it double signed, but the only third-party grader that's going to be on location is CBCS. And the last time I sent something to CBCS, it took them almost 9 months to get it back to me. And yeah, it was ridiculous. And it turned out they explained to me what happened, but still I didn't really care because it was such a bad experience. Their customer service was terrible. So I had such a bad experience with them that I kind of like had vowed never to use them again. So so I was thinking maybe I would just get it graded or just get it signed by Zach and Beatty, and then just kind of hold on to it. And then later on, if I feel more comfortable with CBCS, send it in for their after the fact grading signature authentication that they do. And it'd be a little cheaper that way too.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. CBCS is sort of gotten a reputation for long turnaround times. I use CGC. I think the turnaround times are long. I mean, it's all these places take, you know, you're going to take months and months. But really, when I send stuff in for my PC to get graded, I don't really worry about the turnaround times. If it's going to be a month or 6 months or 9 months, I really don't worry about it if it's not something I'm trying to flip before a movie comes out or something like that. If it's for my PC, I'm going to be keeping it forever. And so I don't know. A long time ago, I just gave up on worrying about turnaround times. If I send stuff in to get graded by CGC, they'll send it back when it's done, and I'm going to have it for the next, 40 years or whatever. You know what I mean? So I don't worry about turnaround times. But yeah, I mean, CGC takes a long time too, Bub. It's not just CBCS. Especially if you're going to send something during con season, it's going to take like 3 times as long. Best time to send stuff in is like November, December. You get really quick turnarounds.
Yeah, Murfinator is saying 4 months tops.
For CBCS?
I'm assuming. He says he never had an issue.
Well, it's been about a year since this happened to me, but I can tell you that they said, so what happened is that the representatives that were at this particular con, so if you want to be, all right, so let me explain this to you kind of how this goes. If you want to be, have a booth for CBCS at a convention, all you have to do is send an email to the dude that handles that, which I've already been in contact with. All you got to do is send him an email. You fill out some paperwork, and that's it. You're a CBCS representative, but you're not a real representative of CBCS. They'll just like let you have a shirt that says it, right? And they don't even give you the shirt. So you got to make one yourself.
Okay.
So then you go, right. So what happens, and this actually scared me when I found this out, because I was in the process of finding all this out while my book was lost in limbo, right? So what happened is that these are just people that, like anyone else who gets a booth at a con, that's it. They're just signature authenticators, and they just signature witnesses. That's all that they are. And they take a little signature witnessing class with CBCS, which is just read this paper and sign here saying that you read it, is all it is. And then they can set up a booth at any con. So they set up a booth, and then they stand with you online, right? And they do, I'm sure most of you are familiar with this process. And then when they're done, they just collect your book. And that's why if you've ever done one that was structured like this, you'll notice that it's all on paper. They write down your credit card information. There's nothing electronic about it. And the reason that there's nothing electronic about it is because you have not actually submitted a book to CBCS yet. You've only given it to the witnesser. And the witnesser collects your book, and they fill out all your paperwork and do all that stuff. And your card doesn't even get charged until they actually send it in to CBCS. And the way that these people make their money is that they're charging you for the witnessing, right? And then they sign the paper and attach it with your book saying that they witnessed it, and then they submit it to CBCS for you, because you can't submit it afterwards. It has to be with that paper by an authorized witnesser, right? So then they send that in, but they don't ship it. They drive a truckload of books to the main pickup center for CBCS. And that's the only way that they can actually make money, because if they had to ship it to CBCS, it would cost too much and they wouldn't make any money. So basically, these people sometimes, depending on who you deal with, they can hold all the books from that con. They can wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month, go to another con and collect all those books. And they can do that for months before they actually take it to CBCS to be submitted. And when you call, like I did, CBCS and say, what the heck? Where's my book? You never even sent me an email confirmation saying that you got the book. And they said, yeah, because we don't have it. So what do you mean you don't have it? I said, I gave it to your representative. They said, well, they're not actually a representative. They're just a witnesser. We don't have representatives. We just have authorized witnessers, and then they bring it to us. Basically, they're not under any restriction as to how long they take. We advise them to go as quickly as they can, but they basically
revise that. They got to revise that. There's no way that can fly for long. You know, there's just no way. They have to have a timeline there. That's really bad business model there.
I agree, but they told me that they would not stand behind any book or anything until they had actually sent until they received the book in hand, which would have taken the witnesser to bring them the book. And when I was at the witnessing table, they had like, I don't know, 5 or 6 boxes worth of books that they were going to send in to get slabbed. So who knows if they brought those from another con, or I had been there fairly early. I doubt they collected all those in the same day, but they may have. So who knows when they actually take it over there. So anyway, that's what CBCS said. It actually only took CBCS 6 months, but it took the witnesser almost 3 months from when they actually witnessed the signing to deliver it to CBCS.
Yikes. Well, I'm not a slabber, so it doesn't affect me in the least, you know, but that just seems ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I get tons of books slabbed. I love slabs, and I'll tell you, I prefer to pack them extremely well at my own place by me, send them to CGC. CGC will get them, and they'll confirm that they got them and go through the process. I don't worry about the turnaround times, and then when they're done, they pack it really well and they send it back to me. I'm not the kind of person that would drop off my books at a con to anyone, whether they had a CBCS t-shirt or were CGC employee or anything. Yeah. I would rather just ship. I can pack stuff to survive an apocalypse, and that's what I do. And then when I send it, I know it gets there safe. I've never had an email from CGC saying, hey, we received these damaged. I've used the biggest box I can find for the smallest amount of comics and fill the entire thing with bubble wrap and cardboard. I mean, it's not going to get damaged. That's how I trust my books to go get graded. I don't drop them off at cons. I know this is a popular thing, and it's because people can't stand the turnaround times. You know, patience is a virtue, and, you know, for turnaround times, they're just taking advantage of the fact that people don't have patience. I mean, you can pay like extra for fast track, and it cuts, you know, a month off. If I'm going to have this book for the next 40 years, what do I care if it takes 2 months or 3 months? I'm not paying extra for that.
I'm good with that, and I'm good with being called that kind of person. Even at least I'll get good with it by tomorrow. But, but my issue is, what do you do about the signature series books? The only way to get those graded is to hand them over at the con.
Well, that's not, well, for CGC that's true, but if you get a signature, you can bring it back home with you and then send it to CBCS, and they will handle it, and they'll give you a signature verification slab, and they'll send it back to you. You just can't get a CGC one.
It's a different label. It's a different label. CBCS has different labels depending on whether they witness a signature or if they use their signature authentication software.
Right, but I mean, is this some? Okay, yep, that's true. I mean, I'm not big into signatures, so you know, I'm not maybe the right person to be talking about this. But if I were to, and I've bought CBCS signed books, and whether it's verified or witnessed, I think it holds the same value, and I think I wouldn't have a problem paying the same price for whether it's witnessed or verified, and I don't think most collectors would care about the value on that. But I don't know. I mean, to each his own. Everybody has their own preference. I had one signed book that I sent to CGC. I knew they were going to give me a qualified label on it because they weren't going to verify the signature, but I wanted it in a CGC holder, and I got a qualified 9.8. But I know it was signed. I'm not planning on selling it. It's in my collection. It's not something I'll do all the time. It's not a super valuable book or anything, but you know, everybody's got a different way of handling signatures, and yeah, so I don't have a whole bunch of signatures.
You know, that's not a bad idea. I actually like that because it's staying in my collection. I don't think I'll come across another high grade copy like this in the wild and get it for the price that I got it. So
why
I'm totally good with keeping it.
Why slab it at all, Bub?
Huh?
Why slab it at all then if it's just a thing for your collection?
I don't generally slab books. It's just something about this book. The way that his pose is, it just feels like it deserves a nice hard case around it. I don't know. It's just something about this book. I most of my books, this was in a slab, and I cracked and took it out because I wanted to be able to read it and go through it. And I don't generally slab books, but something about this book just calls to me that it wants to be in a nice new CGC hard case.
That's what I like to hear, Bub. That's what I like to hear.
Don't let Mrs. Bub hear that, because she might be jealous.
I'll tell you what I'll do, Bub. I'm gonna tell you this. It's on the record. Everybody's hearing it. If you send that book to me, I will send it in the CGC and pay to get it slabbed for you, so you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, DS, I can't ask you to do
slab.
that. Yeah, but I was gonna have them pressed too. So what do you think?
Well, that's what I do. I'll send in that with my other 15, and I get the quick press done on all of them, and then it'll be as high grade as it could possibly get.
See, now,
you think I should read it first?
That's a good idea. Pressing is, I think, a good idea, because it some of these books with these curls that I have, and living in Florida, if you're hunting in cons, pretty much everything has a little curl in it. You know what I mean? Because of the humidity. So I'd like to get a press someday and get those curls out of there.
Yeah, when I send my books to CGC, I've got a package that's been shipped, and it's on the way. I should hopefully have it tomorrow. I got 20 plus books. I send in 15 to 20 books to CGC, and I have them do the quick press and the grading and return them to me. I didn't do fast track, so I did quick press and grading on 20 plus modern books, and we're at the 90-day mark, and I should have them back tomorrow or Wednesday. So that's with a press and 90 days. I don't think that's that bad.
I look forward to the video.
Me too. I can't wait.
Someone had mentioned Mrs. Bub's. Is that you, Roger?
Yeah, I said, you have to be careful with Mrs. Bub, because the way you're talking about that book, she may be jealous.
She should be okay.
A hard case, come on.
Let me show you what I picked up today. I just got it. It was an eBay score. So that is Mrs. Bub's.
That's Mrs. Bub's. Okay.
Oh, Cave Woman.
Yeah, that's my Mrs. Bub's. So as y'all know, if you've seen my channel, I'm pretty much sure that of all the superheroes out there, or any of the female characters even, that my wife looks most like Cave Woman. So I picked this up. There are some variants of this, actually. They only made one run of it, but there are some, like a gold bikini variant and a tiger stripe variant. But this is the one that is most closely to the comic book, as done by Bud Root. So I picked this one up. I usually take all my figures out of the case, but this one I think I'm going to hang just as is. And one of the reasons is that I had purposely, a lot of them, they had her face looking in the other direction, and it looked kind of unnatural. So I hunted this one down and found one where I thought it looked pretty good in the package. So I think I'm going to keep it in the package, just hanging up as is in the comic room. So there's Mrs. Bub's making an appearance on the No Faces chat.
She looks exactly like the girl on the book I just happen to have up at the moment too.
I know, it's great.
Oh, the jungle? Oh yeah, except that the hair's a little darker. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Now, is that going on your wall, or is that going on Mrs. Bub's wall?
Well, actually, we have a combined room. It reaches a point where it morphs into my stuff and her stuff together. And I have some other Cave Woman things along that area, because there's one wall that we kind of share a little piece of, because there's a treadmill in the room, and it's like it started out as the workout room, and then it turned into the makeup room, and then it turned into the comic room. And now it's kind of all three. So she does. So she runs on the treadmill, and so I'll have things, whatever's in her field of vision. While she's on the treadmill, I kind of put some things she would like, And then the things that are up above her makeup table, those are all her things too. So she kind of has like 1.5 walls out of 4. So
cool.
Yeah.
I had a mental picture of Mrs. Bub running on that treadmill and looking at the Cave Woman and saying, a few more miles.
She's there. Thankfully, she's there already. But yes, I actually did do. We had went to a con and we picked up an awesome Wonder Woman print. And this Wonder Woman, she was kind of Barbie-esque, like impossible dimensions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was on a workout bike at that time, so I hung that on that same wall as motivation for me. Just, that's what I looked at when I worked out. Like, oh man,
that was the carrot for the donkey, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah, good stuff.
Oh, we got Comic Bags 22 in the chat. I already said hello to him. AG Surfer. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, I think we've done it. We squandered another good hour and a half with each other and wasted some significant time of all the people watching. Before we go, though, I do want to hear, DS, you've been showing this book off for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
What's the story? It looks golden. So what's the story on it real quick?
Yeah, I just had this ready to go, and I just threw it up here just for something on my screen. I think one of the agenda items that we were going to get to was current story arcs we were reading. I picked this up recently. It's probably like a 7.0. It's from 1948, Jungle Comics number 104. And it's got several stories in here, and it's got one story featuring Camilla. And that story, the villain in that story is Dr. Frederick Wortham, the author of Seduction of the Innocent. And he really started his crusade in 1948 against comic books. He was a psychiatrist who thought that comic books were destroying the youth. And his crusade culminated with Seduction of the Innocent, the book he wrote in 1954. And very quickly thereafter, they had the Comics Code Authority and filtered a bunch of this stuff out. But in 1948, he started that crusade and started to gain popularity. That same year, this book came out with him as a villain throughout that whole story. So, yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to do some research, forward it to CGC, and have them hopefully add a keynote that this is the first appearance of Frederick Wortham in comic books. So we'll see how that goes. So far, I think it is the first appearance. He's been parodied in lots of comic books over the years, but I think this is the first one. And he's not really parodied in this. He's a villain. He plays himself as the villain in here, and he goes mad from jungle fever, and he has to be put down by Camilla. So it's a pretty serious story. Anyway, that's a book I picked up recently.
Who did that cover, DS?
I think the cover is John Solardo or Joe Solardo, and he did a lot of stuff back then. The Camilla story was actually drawn by Matt Baker.
Yeah, I was going to say that I remember that comic now. I used to have it. Yeah, with the Baker story. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, each story in here has a different artist, and Matt Baker did the Camilla story with Wortham as the villain. But I think this cover is Solardo.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure. I'm pretty sure I've had that comic in the past.
Yeah, it's not really hard to find. I mean, it's nice because of what it is and the reasons I said what's in the Camilla story. But it's also, this is pretty high grade. I mean, this is like a 7.0. So yeah, it's nice high grade for 48.
And you got like a foreground battle and a background battle, which is, again, just a little bonus there. Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot going on in that cover, and I really like the subdued colors on some of these old jungle and exotic themed comics from the golden age. There's a lot of like browns and dark greens and grays, and it's just a really earth tone kind of drab looking colors. I really dig it.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, guys.
That's an awesome comic. All right, everybody. Well, let's see what we come up with. Oh, Spider-Man are having fun over here. Okay. Wonder what I do with my spare time. So I think we have a pretty clear winner today.
Yeah.
Just for all the hardship endured this past week, for all the slings and arrows and trying to get that amazing grail, and all the tough times faced, and yet their perseverance to follow through. I think it's pretty clear that I'm the winner this week.
Recount.
All right, so this one's going to DS Comics. Already have a package ready to go, so I'll have to open it back up and put this in it.
Just don't send it FedEx, whatever you do. No FedEx.
Oh, it's going FedEx.
Oh my God,
no,
you're giving another heart attack.
And I would like a signature from the nearest resident to your driveway, as legible as possible.
Let me just state that if we lose DS, he's impossible to replace.
Well, I appreciate it.
Oh, that's sweet. It's too late for extra points, Rod. You got to say that for next week.
Listen, if I were you, I'd get on a flight and fly it right over to his house, because you don't want any stress over there. Wherever DS lives.
Bless his heart. I'm going to send it, and I hope he gets it. But I'm going to insure it for about $300 and then misspell his address and see what happens.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, and I look forward to getting it. Don't tell me when you ship it, then I won't even know it's coming.
It'll be a mystery for all of us if it ever gets there.
Oh gosh.
All right, guys. Thanks again for everyone in the chat and for everyone watching on the replay. No Faces chat with DS Comics and Metarog here to entertain you and inform you. And if we missed anything or we got anything wrong, don't tell us, because we like living in our own world of bliss. Thank you, and we'll see you next week unless something better comes along. Bye.
All right, thanks. See you all.
Guys, here.